Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, and here with the injury report and waiver wire pickups for Week 15. Let's start with Austin Ekeler. Good news here. It doesn't sound that it's serious. He did leave early, but it seems that there's nothing to worry about, at least right now. According to the team, Ekeler could have played in the second half a little bit more if they needed him to. Obviously, they didn't. The game was in hand. We'll see if anything develops throughout this week, but as of right now, it doesn't look like you need to worry too much about Ekeler. I don't think that there's anybody really worth picking up to replace him. Even if Ekeler were to miss time, they would just form some sort of a committee between Jackson and Kelly or Roundtree, and they would just go pass heavy. So again, no need for action here. Cross your fingers and hope that Ekeler is a full go for Week 15. All right, now another injury that definitely hit fantasy owners hard. I know myself included. I have a lot of Kareem Hunt in several leagues, and he left really early in this game with an ankle injury. According to the team, also, he could have played in the second half, which is a little suspicious because I know they had a big lead early, but that game got close towards the end. We didn't see him at all in the fourth quarter. There was no indication that he was just fine, that they were just sitting him out as a precaution. It seems like his injury was enough to keep him out. Also, we should know that the team says there's going to be an MRI on Monday. Usually you don't do an MRI unless there's a reason. So this is definitely something to monitor. Of course, Kareem Hunt has already missed time this year, so something to keep an eye on. And Dearness Johnson now becomes interesting again. Of course, Nick Chubb's still the lead back there. He's fine. So it's not as if Johnson would become an automatic plug and play, but someone to consider. But with Kareem Hunt, again, hope for the best, but definitely keep a close eye on this throughout the week. All right, now some quarterback news. Let's talk about Josh Allen. If you watch the end of that Buffalo-Tampa Bay, very exciting, unless you're a Buffalo fan. If you're Josh Allen, fantasy owner, you're definitely pumped about his output. Over 100 yards rushing and 300 yards passing. It looks like he could be doing what he did a lot for a lot of teams last year, and that's carry you throughout the playoffs. We did see an injury during the game, but in the postgame, he was seen wearing a walking boot, and when asked, he said it's pretty sore, talking about his ankle, but he didn't know exactly what the injury was and that there were going to be some tests on Monday. But as far as fantasy goes, Josh Allen not playing is a huge deal. An elite quarterback, definitely hard to replace him. So we shall see. Be prepared to pick up another quarterback. I have somebody in mind if you stick around to the end of the show, and I'll let you know. And the other big injury as far as quarterbacks go, another ankle injury here, and that's Lamar Jackson. Also very disappointing, left early in that game. Obviously for a guy who uses his legs a lot, this is definitely something to watch because it could be a high ankle sprain. Again, this is just me spitballing here, but if it is a high ankle sprain, we've seen like with Adam Thielen missing a couple of weeks, this could be something that keeps him out for sure Week 15, maybe Week 16. Who knows? We'll see what happens throughout the week, but obviously something to watch for. Lamar Jackson, a guy that you don't want to have to replace, but you might have to do it. All right, now the Washington football team did lose their quarterback. Taylor Heineke left early. That shouldn't be really too big a concern for fantasy teams unless you're in a super flex league, but it doesn't look like you want to play Heineke anyways. But the bigger concern here is Terry McLaurin, the lead receiver, left with a concussion, so we're going to have to wait the week to see if he clears the protocol. He was putting up a goose egg anyways, did absolutely nothing in this game. The whole Washington offense really did nothing until garbage time. This is definitely something that you need to watch because McLaurin, as up and down as he's been, he's somebody who is usually in fantasy lineups, and we know his potential for blow-up games. So if McLaurin doesn't go, I mean, it's hard to say that there's a really strong play to replace him because Washington now is just decimated on offense. Logan Thomas already out for this season. Curtis Samuel is technically playing, but barely involved because he's, not 100% still. There's really nobody on this offense you can point to and say, well, he's the guy, because it could be anybody. DeAndre Carter once in a while shows up. Adam Humphries has had a couple of good weeks. Cam Sims had this big game out of nowhere. It's just hard to really trust this offense in general. You might need to stay away from it. Maybe Antonio Gibson this week, but as far as McLaurin, it's definitely going to be touch and go. See if he's ready for Week 15. And then a couple of minor injuries here. Don't seem to be too worrisome, but again, you always have to check in throughout the week and see what the practice reports say. So DJ Moore at one point did leave, and you probably see that he also got assaulted by the blue medical tent on the sideline, which is very fitting for Carolina these days. So apparently it was a right knee injury, but Moore was asking to go back in the game, so he didn't seem to think it's too serious. It's probably not going to keep him out of your lineup, but what should keep him out of your lineup is the fact that Carolina is struggling big time on offense, and their schedule for the rest of the season is absolutely brutal. And so no interest in Robbie Anderson despite his output this week, and Moore is probably a guy you just want to sideline, not because of the injury though, just because this offense is going to struggle. And then Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos did leave. Also looks like a knee injury here, but nothing serious. He was on the bench, didn't head back to the locker room, so probably nothing to panic about. Now, Noah Fant is also a guy we expected to be a top 10 tight end. The numbers just haven't been there, and that pretty much goes for the whole Broncos pass offense. If you did have Fant as your starter at tight end, and he doesn't happen to play this coming week, well, Albert O would be somebody who might get some run a little bit more in terms of targets. He did catch a touchdown this game. He has shown that he's pretty capable receiver, but again, with Noah Fant here, you're probably better off going elsewhere just because Denver doesn't seem to want to pass the ball. And then finally, Emmanuel Sanders left also with a knee injury. Does this matter for fantasy? Kind of, because Sanders had been basically disappearing from this offense for the last several weeks. You probably don't have him on any of your teams. But it's interesting that once he left, we saw Cole Beasley got more targets, of course, but also Gabriel Davis is a guy who saw a big jump in usage. 5 catches for 43 yards, 8 targets in this game, and a touchdown. And we know he's a downfield threat. He does catch the deep ball. This is a guy who is talented. He just hasn't gotten a lot of opportunity. But if Sanders is out long term, this could be something that helps Davis. So he could be a sneaky add in deeper leagues. Again, probably a wide receiver 4 or 5 type, not somebody that you want to blow a lot of fab on. But again, just somebody to watch in case Sanders is out. All right, waiver wire time. Let me tell you that right now, my top 3 for week 15. Number 1, it's easily Rashad Penny. Now, the former first-round pick finally getting his chance because he's healthy. I think finally healthy. This is a guy who's barely been able to stay on the field. He's only played 32 out of a possible 60 games in his NFL career. He always seems to be banged up, including this year. He has hardly played, and even when he played this year, he had hardly done anything with the ball, averaging 2.9 yards per carry before this game. It helps when you play the Houston Texans. So we don't want to take away too much from this game because, again, Texans the 3rd worst against running backs this year. But at the same time, if he's going to establish himself as a lead running back in Seattle, because they really don't have anything else there, Alex Collins is just a guy. Adrian Peterson is really a sign of desperation there. But if Penny can claim the role, which is rightfully his as a former first-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks at running back, maybe, just maybe, there's a shot here. Now, the thing is, I wouldn't start him in Week 15 because they play the Rams and it's on the road, so not a good spot. But week 16 and 17 are better because he gets the Bears, and then in what could be championship week for fantasy teams, the Detroit Lions. My number 2 pick is KJ Osborne, who we already saw play back on Thursday night and had a nice game, almost as productive fantasy-wise as Justin Jefferson. Now we know that he's getting a lot more targets because Adam Thielen, with that ankle sprain, has missed time. Not sure if he's going to be back for week 15, but you know what? Even if he does come back, Osborne is still an intriguing pickup because we saw early in the season, the first couple of weeks, when all 3 receivers were healthy, Osborne did have a couple nice games. And the thing is, Osborne is tied to an offense that is going to have a favorable matchup on Monday night against the Bears. Okay, the Bears give up a lot of points fantasy-wise to wide receivers, so this is somebody that you could have interest in regardless of Thielen. And last but not least, you need a quarterback. Maybe Josh Allen is out, Lamar Jackson. Let me point you to a guy named Tua. That's right, Tua Tagovailoa gets the Jets in Week 15. Need I say more? No, not really. But also, let me remind you, over the past 3 weeks, since he came back from injury as the starter, his past 3 starts, he's completing 80% of his passes. He has 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's been super efficient. And look, Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed, their running backs, their 2 top running backs, are both on the COVID list right now. It's still early, so they could be cleared, but it's possible that this team has to go pass heavy. Even though you want to run against the Jets because it's just so easy, there could be a lot of passing volume in store for Tua. So a strong pickup, a guy that you might want to stream if you're not completely sold on your quarterback anyways. So those are my waiver wire pickups for week 15, along with the injury report. Hopefully this helps, guys. Check in with us all throughout the week. We have the videos that will help you win your league. All right, good luck.